Kansas nurse suing the State Board of Nursing, claiming they violated her right to free speech.
She's asking judges to review the board's actions. She filed the case on Friday. Digital anchor Keith Rand has been following this investigation since August. He joins us in the newsroom with the latest. Keith?
Mike and Rachel, this dispute now escalating into a lawsuit. Amy Seipel and the Board of Nursing argue on whether she violated nursing conduct. And now a national law firm specializing in constitutional rights, Pacific Legal Foundation, has taken up this case. Seipel's nursing license lapsed last year while she cared for her husband who had cancer. She wasn't working as a nurse, but she gave speeches on dementia, saying she was an expert and nurse practitioner. The board says those speeches count as practicing nursing. Seipel says she was educating the public. In October, the board labeled her conduct unprofessional and placed her on a national database, the same one used for nurses guilty of sexual assault. And now Pacific Legal calls the database a scarlet letter.
Once you come under the Board of Nursing's discipline process, your career is essentially over. I have applied for jobs and I can't even get an interview.
And that she spoke in public about topics which she has knowledge about, namely dementia. That's not treating patients by any definition of the term, common sense or legal. It falls squarely into the realm of Amy's right to freedom of speech.
All right, we did reach out to the Board of Nursing asking for comment on the lawsuit and if it's reviewing any policies. The board said it has no comment.